What if the life that you are living right now and the manifestation of it is tied up to the name that people keep referring you to? When I was the age of 8 and 11, for 3 consecutive years, I went through a pain that I wouldn't even wish on my worst enemy. The pain of sexual abuse. I was abused by a man next door who handpicked me from the crowd. He had that opportunity to do whatever that he wanted to do on other people, but he decided to do it on me. And with that came a lot of pain, guilt, and shame, and also a lack of sense of belonging. You see, I've got 2 other sisters. One passed away last year. May her soul continue to rest in peace. And out of these 2 sisters, this man decided I was the woman, the great woman or good woman for what he wanted to do. And because of that, I thought I did not belong. I did not feel like I belonged with my sisters. And when he was done, that was around the ages of 12 going up. Later on, I met lovely friends of mine who introduced me to smoking. And I agreed to smoke, not because I wanted to or that was my desire, but because I wanted to belong in that group. They had welcomed me with so much love. Even though they were 3 years older than me, they did not make me feel like I was younger. And because of that, I wanted to do anything that they were doing because of the love that I was getting from them. So they introduced me to smoking and also to drinking eventually. Before I knew it, before I could even turn 18, I was medicating myself with alcohol and also with cigarette. And most of the time, I see many people becoming judgmental when they see children doing certain things. But a behavior of a person tells you something. There might be something that a person goes through. Anyway, we will get into that. So, before the age of 18, there's also a story that is fabricated by the people within the village that I am coming from. The story was that my friends, me and my friends were prostitutes. So in order for us to drink alcohol and to smoke and to do everything that we wanted to do, we were actually selling ourselves. I thought the story would just blow away because it was a lie. I was not even sexually active at the time, but it didn't blow away. Instead, the story kept on coming. And before I knew it, everyone knew this title of my name. When you called my first name, which is Maetsu, people will tell you who I was. People will fabricate stories about me. I would hear stories about me and I would also be shocked. My parents tried to sit me down and, understand what exactly was the problem. But I couldn't tell them what was the problem because the man who sexually abused me told me that he would kill me if I tell anyone. So I decided I was going to take that to the grave. However, the drinking and the smoking was helping me medicate my emotional and my mental pain. But before I even enjoyed that life of mine, I was also bombarded by pain from the people within my village. I remember having to hear a lot of the times whenever my name is mentioned, mothers and parents would tell their children, don't play with that girl. That girl it does not have any good intentions for you. She will turn you into being a prostitute. As if that was not enough, I also had people telling me, grown people who were supposed to guide me, who were supposed to lead me on the way, saying to me, I will never amount to anything. So when you go to Lutlakane in Mahikeng, where I come from, if you mentioned my first name, Maeto, anyone could say anything. Anyone could tell a story about who I am. Anyone could tell a story about my identity, which was not true. But at the age of 18, with the approval of my parents, I decided to add a new name. The reason behind adding a new name was not even about becoming a coach, was just I did not want to be associated with the things that Maito had in store. Because Maito was called with all sorts of names. And the things that she was going through was not true about her. But people made that true. So when I said Maleboho, I said these people at that time, the people in my village, the elders, the people who were older than me, my peers, and everybody who ever uttered something, fabricating a story about me that was not true. I said, they will give thanks to God for the pain that I have been through. Now, why giving thanks? Because Maleboho, it means in English, thanksgiving. And at the age of 18, obviously, I am in matric. So I move to Johannesburg. And of course, where I was staying with my sister at a student accommodation. So the people within that vicinity knew my first name, Maeto. But whenever I had the opportunity outside of the vicinity and somebody would ask me, what is your name? I would say Malebo. And whenever they said Malebo, they were reaffirming the dream that I had. That one day people will understand why I went through that, because somebody was tormenting me from as little as 8 years of age. And many years later, this came into fruition. I reclaimed my power. I reclaimed my identity. I reclaimed the being that God had in store when He created me. And today, you called me Coach Malebo. That was not the name I was given by my parents. And this is what I want to share with you today. Life is going to throw at you things that later on can become part of your identity. I see a lot of the times people struggling with the relationships, not because they cannot give or receive love, but because their identity, which maybe is in their name, or maybe is how they grew up, maybe it's because of the things that they went through, the identity is so distorted that it cannot receive that which is given, love. I've seen a lot of people struggling with success, cannot attain the success that they want, not because there is no abundance of success, but because of the identity that is tied up to who they are. Their names. Some of you, it's your nickname. You know that you were called with a certain nickname because it was, a joking type of a nickname. People didn't take you seriously. I remember even at school, I was called Sarah Bartman because of the shape of my body, and people used to laugh around that. However, that part, I didn't take it to heart as the one of Maito. And some of you were called with funny nicknames, and today you are struggling to go on with your life, to reach the success that you want, not because it's not available, but because you haven't told the world who you are. The world has been telling you who you are. Now for today, I need you to do this one thing for you, for yourself and for the world, because the world is waiting for people like you. The world is waiting for change makers. The world is waiting for healers. But these healers and change makers are still in a distorted identity, where that comes from where they coming from, who they were called, and all of those type of things. Today, I want you to ask yourself, how does my name or where I come from affect how I see myself? I want you to ask yourself, what identity has my past experience created in me? Because it's not always that you are struggling with things that you think you are struggling with. Sometimes it's because of how you see yourself. You see, if I had continued like that, if I hadn't reclaimed my power, if I hadn't changed my name so that people can see the version of myself that God had created, I would have believed them when they said, I will never amount to anything. Because literally my life was going through that direction. I never thought I would be successful. I never thought I would attain the success, the family, the children that I have. But today, I am here saying you can reclaim your power by changing the narrative, either of your name, of your past, or whatever it is. You see, the people that used to call me by name, today, they are my clients. Some of them are looking up to me. Some of them are telling their children about me. Had I not done the part where I change the story around who I am, Maitso and Malebo are still the same person. Whether you call me Maitso, you call me Coach Malebu, whether you call me Melby, it's still the same person. However, what changed was how I saw myself. And when I decided to change that part, I then also changed how other people saw me. So your homework, something to do at home, something to ponder on is, what identity has my past experience created within me? And how can I change that? Some of you would have to change a city. Some of you will have to change a country. Some of you, you will have to change the story. Some of you, you'll have to change the religion. Some of you, you'll have to change where you are staying. Just a place where you are staying, because you are changing the narrative of your name and the things that are tied to the manifestation of your life. And I want to remind you today that you have the ultimate power to change how your life, or what you have manifested in your life. You have the ultimate power. And I'm going to leave you with this verse. It's in the book of Romans. It says, the Spirit of God that rose Jesus from the dead lives within us. The Spirit that created all things. And in the beginning, and I always say this when I get into my preacher mode, is the Spirit of God in the beginning created all things. If that is your belief, that in the beginning the world was without form and God spoke a word, then you can speak that word, because that Spirit is within you. The second one that I want to leave you with is that in the beginning there was the Word. So if you want to change your life, change a word. A word might be your identity, how you see yourself. You no longer identify as poor, unloved, unlucky, but lovable, abundant, and more. So go home and do the work. I'll see you next week. And remember to subscribe to this channel so that we can grow this community together. I have very new subscribers and I'm so excited to welcome you to the family. I am hosting a free healing event which will be live on Zoom. If you want to become part of this healing event, please let me know on the comment section and I will give you the link for you to subscribe and register to that. I'll see you next week. Thank you for watching.